and we are working on Now Begin and Now Begin as journalers as we step into our next chapter. So no matter where you are in your life, you might be like me, retirement age, and you might be young. I don't know where you are, but chances are there's a new chapter coming up for you. And this may help you both to learn how to be a journaler. Hang on a second. I have a family member who is being admitted to the hospital. And so we're trying to, I might be getting texts in the middle of this live. So that just happened. But this will help you to free up your words. Hi, Deb and Mike. Good to see you. I'm grateful you're here live. Hello, Cheryl. My son is texting me. I love that. But I wanted to just say what we did yesterday, and we can step into today. So yesterday we explored what we call ourselves. What are those names that we give to ourselves? What are those beliefs that we have about who we are? We also talked about what humans we can look to for reassurance, because chances are we have someone in our lives who we can look to when we are negative about ourselves. Yesterday I confessed about having an awakening around being called a burden. And I am thrilled that Catherine is here, that Cheryl is here, 7 Minutes with Cheryl, Trekking with Deb and Mike are all here. So I'm really excited to see them here. And thank you so much. I hope that you get a lot out of this content. We also introduced the poem that I wrote in 1999 called Now Begin, which is sort of being the framework for this whole series now. And you can see that, yes, I'm analoging it. I mean, how retro of me, but it is very, very human. This is all human created. And that's the thing with journaling is, you can't hide behind machines. And I'm really taking a stand with all of you to recognize how important it is to you have your own thoughts, think your own thoughts, express your own thoughts. And speaking of human, I'm thinking my son might be done with his texting, but you like paper and pen? Me too. This is my favorite kind of pen. Sometimes people who are, oh my goodness, they're just going wild. There's a family chat happening. I have this Uniball pen. Uniball pens are my favorite. You get people together who are journalers and they all want to take out their pens and their notebooks and talk about them. So anyway, I would love to hear how you are doing. If you have any questions from yesterday going into today, if there's anything you would particularly like for me to cover, if anything came up in the last 24 hours, things like that, I'd love to know so that I may be helpful to you. And I'm going to read the poem Now Begin, because that is our foundation. So, take away the degrees, titles, and accomplishments. What is discovered at your core? What is your unique, special spark that you've buried deep, neglected, and chosen to ignore? Seeking to please whomever, drowning out the longings of your heart, struggling, freezing, suffocating, until finally you choose to start. Whispers from the spirit, soul song from deep within. After dancing, stranger among strangers, claim it, your life. Now begin. And hello, Cindy and Chad. I saw you guys come in. I'm so grateful that you're here. This is probably a good time for Californians to be hanging out. I'm also curious where Deb and Mike are finding themselves right now. Are you on the West Coast? Are you, I know you've been in a lot of Western states, and I'm always happy to see you pop on live. Makes me happy. All right. So today we're going to talk about one of my very favorite subjects. We're talking about passions and fascinations, and some of those things that we may have buried and may want to bring back out. This fall into the category of hearing those whispers from the spirit, maybe for you. This may be a lot, and toward the end we'll be talking about letting go of stuff to make room for us to explore our passions more fully. And also letting go of those thoughts, negativity that might get into our way. Okay, so that's cool. Trekking with Deb and Mike are heading to Taos, New Mexico in the morning. Beautiful country, beautiful country. Um, Interesting, and it kind of fits with this because last winter I went to Las Vegas, New Mexico. And I hadn't been in Las Vegas, New Mexico since 1989. And it was almost like a whisper from the spirit thing that brought me back there. And when I was in Las Vegas, New Mexico, I kept feeling like, wow, this is a place that I could really enjoy. This is a place that felt like it was calling to me. And then one of my friends who, yeah, it's really cool there. One of my friends lives in Santa Fe, and she knows that I house it. And she said, oh, well, you want to come out here next summer? And I'm like, you know what? I might. So I told her to leave a space open for me sometime next summer. By then, it might be okay for me. I'm really focusing in on family, but it's funny how those places, they just get under your skin. And even if you haven't been there for 30 years, 35 years, 36 years, they may call you back. So let's be aware of that. I wanted to start with a warm-up prompt. If you have your pen or your pencil with you, paper, I'm going to give you the prompt that we're going to use. It is, when I was we're going back in history, because sometimes our passions and the things that we love have their roots in elementary school or childhood. And after this, we'll have a little bit of a story time, and I'll talk about that in my life. But the warm-up prompt is this. And if you can't write, oh, your sister lives in Santa Fe, Cheryl. That's so cool. You get to visit her? Because Las Vegas, New Mexico is very close to there. In fact, you can take Amtrak. You can take Amtrak to Las Vegas, New Mexico, which I would just make my little heart sing. Anyway, and it's interesting because that is kind of a passion of mine, is the railroad. Isn't that funny? So here we go. I will be writing as well, and we'll write for 2 minutes to this first prompt. We will breathe for a moment. You may write down the prompt. I'm going to tell you the prompt right now. You've only been there once, Cheryl? That's very cool. Okay, the prompt is, when I was in elementary school, I loved to ... So kind of, okay, allow that some space. When I was in elementary school, I loved to ... We're going to take 2.5 or so minutes with this one. I'll say it one more time. When I was in elementary school, I loved to ... And now we're going to take some breaths. So take a nice deep breath in. And let it go out the mouth. Breathe in and be thinking about those things you loved when you were a kid. Breathe in. And let it out. Third time, breathe in. Deep breath. And let it out. And now begin to write. Let your pencil or pen float across the page, fingers on the keyboard. If you want to dictate, you may dictate. When I was in elementary school, I used to love, yep, I loved to. When I was in elementary school, I loved to ... We're using stream of consciousness, which is just letting your pencil float across the page. I loved to. If you'd like to put your responses in the chat, you may also do that. If you get stuck, just rewrite the prompt. Okay, we have about 15 more seconds. So begin finishing up those phrases, those words. Alrighty. When you're finished, if you would tap one of the hearts or something on the screen, that would be helpful. Then I will know that you are done. When I do workshops, if you're able to do that, when I do workshops in person, I always ask people to please look up when they're done. But here I can't see your faces. Clearly, it has really been something I've enjoyed. Oh, you don't have good memories at elementary school. You were sick a lot. Wow. Yeah, that happens in elementary school. Was there a time when you felt better in middle school? Really? Catherine didn't have good memories either. And I will confess that when I was in elementary school, I started doing this thing where I was basically split in half. And when I was in school, I was one version of Julie. And when I was at home, I was another version of Julie. So my family didn't really know me because at home, I was super quiet. I would go home and I would go up to my room. I was like what I would say the church mouse version of me. And when I was at school, I was charming. I was a leader. You love PE class. That's amazing. I tried hard in PE class. I've never been an athlete, but I do my best. I can be counted on for that. If you know Anne Lamott's work, she wrote her most famous book is called Bird by Bird. And one of the prompts that I sometimes use that I borrow from her is, what did you eat for lunch in second grade? And so going back to elementary school and asking, for what you love to do, what did you love? And I'm glad, Cheryl, that you could come up with PE class. Because if we were to go deeper with that, we could kind of tug out or unravel a bit of what it was specifically about PE class that had your attention. Do you know? I'm just curious. So in my list, I'll read for you real quickly what I wrote. And again, you can put things in the chat if you'd like. When I was in elementary school, I loved to sing in chorus, play the flutophone, sew and design doll clothes, write poetry. Some of these things haven't changed, and I'm sure some of yours haven't changed. I used to love swimming and camping and hiking with my family. I love to host friends and have parties. I love to attend parties. Oh, I didn't put this here. I liked Girl Scouts. And I liked being a leader in Girl Scouts. One of my moments of pride was in Junior Scouts, I was a group leader, and there were no other fourth graders who were group leaders. So I think that's because I come from a big family or something, but somehow I was recognized for that. I love to do make-believe. I had like my own radio station in the basement, not equipment, but I put on radio shows, and I went on to be a radio show host. So kind of interesting, isn't it? I also love to sing for my neighbors. My next door neighbors were elderly. Well, they're probably my age now. But they felt elderly back then, and I would sing for them. What's interesting, a PE story. Physical, we called it gym in New Jersey, and I loved when we did dance in gym class because I could do dancing. And when I moved to California, I got to be proficient in volleyball, and that was a really big thrill. And in California, they're very serious about volleyball, at least in Southern California, with the beach. You had to play volleyball right. So to this day, I still like playing volleyball. Okay. All right. So I wanted to talk briefly, story time. Sometimes story time helps us to pick up things from our own lives. Oh, you did tap, ballet, and jazz for several years. Oh, that's so cool. Pam's listening in while she gets vegetables out of her garden. It's always a pleasure to see you, Pam. So here's my story time, and I would invite you tomorrow. I have a video coming out at noon Eastern that is co-starring, or special guest stars Kay and Rower in it. And it is kicking off my new series, which is about exploring theater as a retired person or retirement age. And so what happened, and I told the story on that video of why I left theater. And I left theater at the ripe old age of 11. So when we talk about unhappiness as children, that was a pretty unhappy moment that I had. And I still feel somewhat badly about it, I would have to say. And I didn't realize that I still feel badly about it because I felt myself getting choked up as I was recording the video. And even when I was on stage, hey, hi Wayne, how are you? We're talking about rediscovering our passions here, so I'm very grateful that you're here. By the way, if y'all don't know Wayne at Fairbrook Studio, he's so supportive of YouTubers, so I hope that you will follow him, and he helps us to get those watch hours up, as so many of us are trying to get to 4,000. So I'm really grateful that you're here, Wayne. Thank you. And he's featured one of my videos on his watch playlist, so please go to his channel, check out the work he's doing. So, and he has Fairbanks Studio, aka Wayne. So what I realized, again, I learned so much from this experience, being on stage this week and doing that collaborative art. And one of those things was healing more recent things that weren't so great, but also that childhood healing, and also not being able to tell the story. That story that I'm telling on tomorrow's video is a story that I have held close because I didn't feel comfortable sharing it until now. I've never had an opportunity to share it. So I would like to encourage all of you to get those thoughts out on paper with your pen, using your keyboard, and also if you like to do, and one thing that I want to talk about today is dictation journaling. So excellent, excellent. I'm so glad that we're all here, and I'm so glad that we have supporters all over the YouTube streets. So be on the lookout for that video tomorrow. Kay and Ro are adorable. If you don't know them, they are really cool people. And I really hope that people understand the opening sequence. What can I tell you? All right, so in the poem, we talk about whispers from the spirit. Whispers from the spirit. So I would love it if you would put in the chat, what is, or you can just think about it, you don't have to put it in the chat if you don't want to. But oftentimes we have interests or fascinations. I'm so glad that you guys are subbing Wayne, Fairbrook Studio. You'll learn a lot, you'll grow a lot from hanging out over there. What is a fascination or something you've been interested in that you'd want to try, that you haven't tried yet? Is there anything that you can think of? Now, something for me, I tried kayaking this year, something I wanted to do for a long time. I tried it, I loved it. In fact, I'm signing up for a kayaking tour with my teacher who taught me. So what is something you've always thought you might like to learn about? And what is it about that thing? Oh, you love kayaking. Of course you do, Playnola. I have to come down to New Orleans and go kayaking. The kayaking guy has some really cool kayak tours and things that I'm going to go on. So what is something that you are interested in that you haven't done that keeps coming back to you? That's a good way to look at it. Because usually photography is an interest in filmmaking. And I would say Playnola there has been making some pretty cool films on his channel. So I can't believe I don't have you. Oh no, you're there. Okay. I have the best people who come and watch my videos. So what else? What about the rest of you? Are any of you, I was going to say here on the list of who's here, Cindy and Chad Cat Adventures. I would say Cindy and Chad have taken off since I first met Cindy. that's a fun fascination. I would say, okay, so another funny story, although I don't want to speak, my family member's in the hospital, and they said years ago, we were in Boston, the Boston area, or in New England, and I was prattling on about women writers from like the 19th century. And I was just prattling on and on and on, like throwing out all of my knowledge about the subject matter. And this family member looked at me and he said, "How do you know all of this stuff? Like, this is the strangest thing I've ever seen." And what I said was, well, after I graduated from college, I didn't stop learning. I didn't stop discovering. I didn't stop letting my heart feel and be curious. Because as we age, it is so important to stay curious. And as a matter of fact, my love for literary grannies, as what I call them, I used to do a whole blog series about this on my old blog. But I took a class on women in American history. That was just a fluke. I decided that I wanted to take a class at the community college. Instead of, I called it my non-chemical antidepressant, taking a community college class. That class changed my life. And it really ignited my curiosity. So I would hope that some of you, if you're thinking, what is it? Okay, so Catherine would like to learn Spanish because it helps the brain. And I would say, yes, indeed, it does. Cindy says, learning language is great. Okay, bye, Wayne. Hi, Kelly. What are some fascinations that you have, Kelly? Kelly and I share history fascination. We're both interested in history. Wonderful. So yes, and I would say, studies have shown the more curious we are, that also helps your brain, because I think your brain starts firing differently. And just like journaling with a pencil and paper, it also makes things fire differently. Also in the study of language, you can look how some words in some languages are the same and how some are different, and that can be fun. There's so many ways you can play with journaling and fascinations and language. So I'm so glad that I thought this time to move down this. I haven't always been good at that. You practiced Spanish for a year, you still can't speak it. Where are you studying, Cheryl? I can't speak Spanish really well. In fact, some of you know that I have a neighbor from Guatemala, and she and I speak the most interesting blend of English and Spanish, very much Spanglish. And I have a good accent. So unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, when I speak Spanish, usually the people who I'm speaking with think that I speak Spanish really well, and then they start talking really quickly. So I have to say, más despacio, slow down. Yes, Duolingo. Oh, that's cool. I've never tried Duolingo. I would like to learn Italian. I was sharing on one of my walking videos the other day that there was an Italian person that came on, and I said how I think I have Italian, not in my blood, but I definitely have Italian in my spirit. Some of the energy and passion that comes from the Italian culture. So, in fact, since we're talking about passions, Federico Fellini said, let's see if I can get it. There is no beginning and no end. There is only infinite passion. Hi, Madden. Use Duolingo to learn Vietnamese. Well, that's fascinating. I would think the Asian languages would be really hard to learn. Hey, Madden, is there any, and you're closer to youth than some of us are in this room, but we're talking about fascinations and passion. And is there anything that you, or anyone who's just coming in the room, is there anything that you would like to, and my family chat is going off the wires. What do you have a fascination about you haven't yet picked up on? So a lot of people here have studied languages and they've been curious about stuff. It's really great if you're curious about something to take it to the next level. So, all right, we're going to do another prompt. Are you ready for another prompt? Since Madden walked in the room, Madden's a journaler and a writer. Oh, just wait a second. I'm going to sneeze. Am I going to sneeze or not? And Madden's talking about Dolly Parton. It's very sad that she passed. She did so much for children. Yes, she did. She's done so much for literacy. She's so generous, such a generous spirit, so generous spirited, and an amazing songwriter and singer. Reading is knowledge. Reading helps you go from knowing to being wise. And so will journaling. All right. So we're going to go to our next prompt. As we've been kind of, you haven't known it, but first thing before I go to the prompt, I'm going to talk about dictation journaling, because dictation journaling is something that I have been doing because of my surgery. Now, my skin is still super tender, so on this side, it still hurts. So that's why I have a Band-Aid on my finger. The top is pretty much healed. But this side that had the valley fever in it is still really tender, and I'm not liking, I'm keeping it covered for that reason. I'm using it better, and there's more feeling in it, so that's exciting. Okay, you just went to, that's right, Kelly, you did just go to Nashville. That's so cool. Oh my goodness, there's a Broadway show coming out about her life. It'll be really popular. And Kelly and I also share a love for theater. And Madden says, I think this generation has been hurt by a lot of politicians, and I think we as a generation want to help people in our future generation. Yeah, I would say there's a lot of that. You're right, Madden. And hopefully, yeah, I definitely agree. And hopefully we can continue that wave. So I have gotten into dictation journaling and dictation writing. And so I use my phone to do it. And so I don't know if this is true. I know Planola has an Android. I'm thinking it does. You can do the same thing, but I literally open up my Google Docs and I press my microphone and I just speak into the phone. And I can be journaling, I can be doing whatever. I'll just chatter away, spilling it all out without thinking. Now, a couple things. I have worked on my tree hugging book using this technique, because I'm working on a book about tree hugging. Not a surprise to all of you, I'm sure. And then when I get it all, it usually comes out in a big old mess of block of language. But what you can do, and you also probably know I'm not a real big user of AI, but I do use ChatGPT for this purpose, is I'll copy the whole darn bit of mess and I'll put it in ChatGPT and I will just say, please put this in paragraph form for me. Because it's a block of mess and I can't make any sense of it. And ChatGPT will take my words, put them in the thing, just like I said it, and then I can work from it from there. And what I have found is that by speaking, I tend to discover things I would not have discovered even with just writing. There's other times when you can get to things with journaling with your pen that you cannot get through journaling with your dictation. But it's kind of like when you dictate your writing, just like I was talking about, it's kind of like I'm similar to therapy, is that you're hearing yourself as you're speaking aloud, and then when you get the transcript back and you can read it when it's put in a nice form with space in between, there's something truly mysterious in how it all comes out. So while in the past, before I had this surgery, I would never have realized that. I would never have said, oh yes, dictation journaling is such a gift. Now that I've had this setback, I have discovered that dictation journaling can work really well. Okay, so Matt says, I use my notes app, but I want to get back into journaling more besides at night. That reminds me too. I don't have it here. I had it here earlier. There's different kinds of journaling, and I will get into that kind of journaling towards the end of the week. Yes, today is Tuesday. I was thinking it was Wednesday. It's only Tuesday. Yes, thank you, Madden, for that reminder. But so dictation journaling is something there's so many reasons that you may, I hear as a writing coach, I hear a lot of reasons why people don't write with a pen and paper. And so if you have struggles, I would say try dictation and write from it. Ask yourself questions in the margins of your dictation so you can take it more deeply. Last night, I also said, if any of you would like to work with me one-on-one, I would love to drill into some of your responses to the prompts. And we would also do that verbally as well as in writing. So just keep that awareness as well. Okay, so now it's time to write from our next prompt. And this is a longer one. This is 5 minutes, so it'll be a little bit. So take a moment. If you have your journal with you, I'm going to write my words, my prompt down. I haven't written it down yet, but here is the prompt. And I'll read the poem again because this is a line directly from the poem. If I listen closely for the whispers of the Spirit, I think they might be telling me. So that's kind of a long one. If I listened closely, and I'm going to write it, if I listened closely, and you can tap this into your keyboard, into your document, if you're doing it that way. If I listened closely for the whispers of the Spirit, and any of these prompts, you can work on them later too. I think they might be telling me. I think they might be telling me. I think they might be telling me. Okay. The other intuitive thought that I just had, or a whisper from the Spirit, from the divine, from God, from the Creator. I think, instead of I think they might be telling me, I feel they might be telling me. That's another option. I feel they might be telling me. All right? So I'm going to read the poem again. I really have it memorized, but I don't trust myself. I'm going to read the poem. We're going to breathe, and I hope I'll get my act together. We're going to take a couple breaths. Then I'll read the poem, and I'll give you the prompts again, and then we'll write. Okay? So here we go. Let's take a nice deep breath together. Breathe in. And let it go out the mouth. Breathe in. And let it go. Breathe in again. Let it go. The prompt is, if I listened closely to the whispers of the Spirit, I think they might be telling me, or I feel they might be telling me, or I believe they might be telling me. We'll be writing for 5 minutes, and I will speak the poem just as a way to get things moving. Also, if you get stuck at any point while you're writing, just restate the prompt. You could write whispers from the Spirit, whispers of the Spirit are telling me. You can write that on the page, and if you do that for all the 5 minutes, that's okay, because you will eventually have something come up. All right. Take away the degrees, titles, or accomplishments. What is discovered at your core? What is your unique, special spark buried deep, neglected, that you've chosen to ignore? Seeking to please whomever, drowning out the pure longings of your heart, struggling, freezing, suffocating, until finally you choose to start. Whispers from the Spirit, soul's song from deep within. After dancing stranger among strangers, claim it, your life now begin. Your prompt, if I listened closely for the whispers of the Spirit, I think they might be telling me. Please begin to write if you haven't yet, and I will cue you when to stop. Have about 1 minute left. If I listen closely for the whispers of the Spirit, I think, I feel, I believe they might be telling me. Again, winding down your thoughts, or maybe open your heart a little bit wider. All right, we have about 15 seconds left, so begin to finish that sentence. Okay. Whew. All right. That was really interesting for me. That's very interesting for me. If you have any insights or anything you'd like to write in the comments about that, you don't have to, of course, but if anything came up, and I'll read through some of what I wrote. Some of what I wrote includes this. I think they might be telling me, you're good at this, don't stop. Keep going. You're going to be okay. You are a precious child of God. You are fulfilling your purpose. Keep going. And then I repeated it, listening closely for the whispers of the Spirit. I think they might be telling me to love more, to love harder, to love richer. It says, don't turn away. Don't turn away. Stay. Stay. If I listen closely, I would hear breath. I heard some music and about enjoying the passage of time. That's a lyric from James Taylor's song. I'm staying present in joy and stay in the midst of it. It said, stay here in the seat, writing. So that was pretty potent. And I would suggest that you stay open to that prompt continuing to work within you to bring thoughts back on the page. And oftentimes when I'm working with people individually and also in workshops, is when you have a prompt like that, you may continue to hear in your heart. So be aware of that. And you might take your pen to the page. You might be having a conversation with someone and have that whisper be verbalized. So be open to that. Okay, I wanted to also give you a bridge question or a bridge prompt to take into overnight. And I'm just going to give it to you. But first, I also want to ask if anyone has any questions or any thoughts they would like to share, because I've been doing a lot of talking. I don't mind talking, but I also enjoy hearing from you. Okay. So funny watching the numbers. Some people are leaving because they don't want to comment or they've had enough. It's been a long time. We've been here for 41 minutes, but I'm happy. And in fact, I was thinking that I will do Q&A at the end if there's anyone who has any Q or A. So why not? Okay, here's the assignment. Because part of when we discover our passions or start expressing our passions more vociferously, what tends to happen is some people aren't comfortable with us in these new iterations of ourselves. And so they will want to step back from us, or there's all kinds of different responses, which I think sometimes we're afraid to move forward with some of our explorations. We're concerned about moving forward because of other people's discomfort, or other people's wants, needs, hopes, and dependence on us to be as we were. So I just wanted to put that out there. All right, so for for today into tomorrow. To make room for what wants to come alive in me now, I'm ready to loosen my grip on ... To make room for what wants to come alive in me, I'm ready to loosen my grip on ... Things that come up for me right away is to loosen my grip on having to control and micromanage. This is me when I was younger. To lose a grip on micromanaging my family. Because I used to just, I was never really a helicopter mom, but Emma laughs at, well, except for in education. I would say Emma would make fun of me and tease me about this because I would say, oh, I don't like to be in control of things, but if only people would do things my way, it would just be so much better. So that bridge assignment, and we'll pick up on this tomorrow, is to make room for what wants to come alive in me now. I am ready to loosen my grip on. So what is something you've really held tight to and you're ready to let go of it? You're ready to let it take a different space or place in your life. And again, this is one of those things that you might not be able to just come up with a quick answer, and that's fine. You can come back and let it simmer overnight. This is a kind of journaling. Madden was just talking about journaling only at night, and I will just talk about this kind of journaling that I do, which is what I call roll over and write. And so before I go to sleep, I will write a bit of a prayer or a question, and I'll sleep. And there's a reason they call it sleeping on it. I'm going to sleep on it because as we sleep, we get rid of some of the blockage that is there when we're awake. And so we go to sleep and we wake up, our mind's been working on it, our subconscious mind's been working on it, we've been able to connect in ways that we don't when we're awake. And you can then write in your journal the response that you're feeling, the response that you're hearing, the response that you're knowing. So I would suggest you might try that roll over and write journaling with prompts like this. All right, so thank you each and all for hanging out with me. I'm so grateful to have this time to journal together. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the week. Thank you so much, and we will catch you on another video soon. Take good care.